fresh for you to see the after effect of how long in the oven was that?
You really got to watch it. Maybe about 10 minutes. Just enough till it all melts.
Don't overdo them, because if you get these a little too brown, you don't want it too crunchy. Although if you like that style, it'll be okay. You run the risk of browning the cheese a little bit too much, and you don't want to do that.
And I don't know if I mentioned before, but it's 500 degrees.
We'll put, since we don't have a recipe for you, we'll just reshare the ingredients in a little post with a picture of the pizza. And we'll let you have at it if you are so interested in doing one of these for you and your family and friends.
Look at that. Can you? I don't know if you can see that, but look at this melt. Look at this fontina. I mean, the aroma
is unreal.
And again, it's the time. Don't forget that time. You need it whether you use fresh or dried. It doesn't matter. It is delicious.
Now for the comedy routine, we can all use a little time. Bada boom. And that one really wasn't that funny, but your pizza does need some time. So, what we'd like to do for you now, we have assembled, as I said before the break, 3 wines for you that will pair fantastically with this wonderful, quick and easy dinner time, lunch time, friends time. If you get hungry again after your dinner, you can make one of these. If you're that kind of eater, you can make one of these any time of the day. I'd even have this for breakfast. So, having said all of that, the first wine that we're going to feature, while this cools down a little bit, is a Pinot Grigio called Montmess. It is from the Dolomite region, which is in northern Italy. We actually spent some time in the Dolomites. Remember that? We went up to like 10,000 feet. We had a little jacket on. By the time we were up there, we were frozen stiff. I thought I was never going to come back to Earth. We went up in one of those cable cars. I was like going, I'm going to die. I'm going to die.
It was great.
But it was fantastic.
The scenery going up was spectacular. And then all of the fog moved in and we got to the top and couldn't see a thing.
It was a little scary.
But it doesn't matter.
This bottle of wine would have helped right about then. But this is by a winery called Castelfelder. It's from Italy. You won't find this. I found this on, unless you're going to be a wine access shopper, which I hope some of you are exploring. But the reason that I selected a Pinot Grigio instead of a Chardonnay, I'm always doing Chardonnay. I think this might be the first time we've talked a little bit more in detail about Pinot Grigio, is that one of the recommendations to pair with a rich cheese like Fontina happens to be the wine Pinot Grigio. So we're going to sample this before, talk about it. It's 13% ABV, nice mild wine. It's not real acidic. It's got a nice balance. I get a little peach, a little pear on it. She's thinking.
If you say so.
So, I do say so. And I have a pretty good palate, according to my friends.
But I will tell you, Pinot Grigio, if you're going to make this and you're going to use a Pinot Grigio because it's summertime and you want something light, maybe not really ready for a red, make sure it's an Italian Pinot Grigio and not something from California, New York State.
However,
wherever.
I'm going to override that since I'm the wine guy here.
This is good.
There is a winery, and I almost pulled that bottle out tonight, in California called Klein Cellars. And they make a Pinot Gris, which is Pinot Gris comes Pinot Grigio, Pinot Gris. It is a fantastic Pinot Gris from California. I would just say don't do Cavit with this. That's all I'll say. If you like Cavit, I'm sorry. You can do better at a good price point. And I would also say to you, if you could find yourself a nice French Pinot Gris, because that's what they call it in France, they're fantastic. If you can find yourself a nice Pinot Gris from the Finger Lakes, it will go well with this. So it can be a Pinot Gris as well. And I would highly recommend, it's the grape that counts because they all profile the same way. They just have a little bit different profile depending on where they come from. So now, for our first ever wine and food together, although we did chocolate. So I want to apologize. I need to amend my statement. But this is not dessert. So it's food, not dessert. Food and wine pairing. So we're going to take a bite of this wonderful pizza.
Why don't we do this?
Take a little slice here. We're going to eat in front of you. Sorry, we hate to do that. But after we're done here, you got to go make your own. So we'll let that soak in.
Wow, what do you think, dude?
You don't even need wine with this. You really don't. All you need with this is more.
Oh my God, that fantastic.
So let's try now with the... Wow. It actually made the wine a little sweeter. In a good way. You
Yeah,
agree?
it did. It did.
Wow. That
It really
was-
cut down on the acidity of the wine. Yeah.
So, that's your first selection. Remember, a Pinot Gris, Pinot Grigio. There are a couple Italian whites that I would highly recommend. Vermentino, Arnese, Suave, that would all go... most crisp white wines would just knock this out of the park.
Excuse me, while I'm chewing here, but an Arnese.
Arnese is known as the white Barolo. So if you know anything about Barolo, it's grown in the same... All the greatest white wines from Italy, in my opinion, come from the northern regions and the mountain regions of Italy. In the Piemonte, in the Dolomiti, and in the mountainous regions of Italy. So, with that said, I'm going to take one more bite before we transition. I'm sorry. My eyes are rolling back in my head.
That is good. That is good, but we're gonna move on here.
Well, you can move on, but right now, I'm washing this down with this. Load me up. Hook me up. Oh, that Pinot Grigio just got 2 times better than when I was drinking it before we started the segment. So now, our next wine is from a winery in Paso Robles, California. It's an Italian family. The wine is called Giornata. And Giornata is kind of the word for daily in Italian. So it's your day drinker wines. They do a fantastic job. They have, if you want to go on your television, you can find on Amazon or wherever you stream or however you look for it, there's a special that they do on a place called Tin City in Paso Robles. And it's a community of foodies, basically, and wine people and beer people. This winery, Giornata, is there. I found them through watching that documentary, and I have since been a fan of their wines. They do a Vermentino. They do a Fiano. They do this under a different name. They actually are a pasta company called Eto Pastifico Pasta Factory and Market in Paso Robles, and they do this wonderful Sangiovese-based rosé. Now, it doesn't have to be this rosé. This just happened to be the one I chose because I wanted to... It's just the one I picked. You could use a Southern Rhone rosé. You could use a Pinot Noir rosé. You could use a rosé of any grape. Remember what I've always said to you. Rosés come from almost all red grapes. Some make better wines than others. Sangiovese makes one of the best rosés of all of the grapes, of all the red grapes. So
I do know the saying.
So
Rosé all day.
So let's sample the wine first. Big cherry. It's not in your face. It's a very, very good, balanced wine. It's got a nice acidity. What do you get on it? I actually got a little spice on the end of it.
There is. There is a little spice on the end.
So it's a little pepper finish. So now let's see what happens when we pair this wonderful... You pairing already?
Oh yeah, I'm way ahead of you. You talk too much.
I do talk too much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. Pizza's so good. Now, interesting. It sweetened that wine up, too. It must be the sweetness and the fullness and the
Do
cheese.
you think?
For me, it did, but it also...
I thought it gave it, well, Reese's sweetness. To me, I thought it was a little sharper.
It gave it a little... It kicked it up a little bit. It's a little bit
But
sharper.
it's not,
It's fantastic.
it's great.
It's
It's not biting.
I
It
can't
just
tell.
tightens the
I can't
pizza.
tell which one of these I like better with the pizza and the white, the Pinot Grigio, or the Eto Pacifico. And by the way, just for going back, the Pinot Grigio is a 2019. Don't recommend keeping whites more than 3 to 5 years. And the Rosé is
Even that long?
Yeah, you can.
Really? 5?
Yeah, some of them the better ones. And the Rosé is a 2020, so I don't recommend keeping them longer than 2 years, which is another reason that I opened it. Your Rosés will just go flat. They won't spoil. They'll lose that vibrancy that they have naturally. So you want to drink your Rosés no longer than 3 years out. 2 years is ideal. So with that, let's clear these out of here. We're now going to go to the wine that I think... I'm going to say, before I even do this, I've never done this before. I've never had 3 colored different wines.
Do you want to give me your right glass?
I've never had 3 different wines with this pizza. I've always either picked one or the other. It's usually a rosé or a red. I've had Pinot Noir with this before, but I've never done a point of comparison by having a rosé and a white side by side by side. So this is going to be very interesting. But rationally, and if you're into wine and food pairing, it would tell you textbook-wise that the Pinot Noir would probably be the best pairing for this because of the heavy mushroom base, which comes out. This is a very earthy pizza. This is nothing like an Italian cheese pizza with pepperoni.
Or an Italian cheese pizza with mushrooms on top.
It's not the same.
No.
It is a completely
It's very
different
heavy
food
mushroom
product.
thyme. So, you have to really like those two. But they go so well together. And yes, like he said, Pinot Noir and mushrooms, ding, 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 ding. However, in the summer, maybe you don't want a heavy red. So the other two would be delightful.
Well, let me amend that. Pinot Noir is not really a heavy red. If you're out to dinner some night and you want to have a red based on what you're having, a Cabernet is going to make you sweat. A Pinot Noir will not. Most Pinot Noirs come in about 13% ABV. Most of your cabs are 14 or 15, and that alcohol is going to open up your capillaries and you're going to sweat. I'm sorry. That's just nature. So, let's take a sip of this. While she's sipping that, this is a wine that I got from WTSO. It is a 2017. 2017. So this is 5 years old. It is an estate Pinot Noir from Vidon Vineyards, and the French have invaded the Willamette Valley in Oregon because Oregon has turned out to be a wonderful place where Pinot Noir thrives and grows very well. So this is an Oregon estate wine from 3 different French clones probably. And if you, I know you can't see it here, but you can actually see Pinot Noir is not. It's not like big and bold like Zinfandel and Cabernet.
Or Cab.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying Pinot Noir is a light red.
You know what? Yes, it's lighter than all the other reds, but people think red and they don't think of summer.
You can
Or
chill.
whatever. You can
can
chill
chill this.
Don't make it real cold.
Not real cold.
Not in the refrigerator all day.
It'll just knock down the flavor.
In the refrigerator for maybe an hour.
No, not even.
Not even.
If you do it an hour, let it warm up a little bit.
And then because when things are too cold, you can't. It's the same thing with food. If it's supposed to be served hot and you serve it really, really cold, you can't taste anything.
And if you serve it too hot, it burns your mouth.
Exactly.
So you've got to find that
So you got to
temperature
find
profile.
that medium there.
So enough of the food science. Let's talk about this wine.
Okay. The bouquet, I get some pepper.
Typical earth. It's earth, forest floor. There's some cherry. There's a little bit, I'd agree,
Cherry.
with the pepper.
Pepper on the end.
This is a nice Pinot Noir. And this is another one that I got from WTSO.
This is, you know what, Gar? He knows I'm not a big Pinot Noir person because he likes real earthy Pinot Noirs. And I always say to him, you know, I go to the bouquet and I go, oh my God, no, it smells like worms. And that's just, I just think of, you know, when it rains real hard and all the worms are on the driveway, when you go out there, how it smells so earthy. You know, and I go, oh no, that's not for me.
I just think dirt.
This Pinot Noir is just lovely. Absolutely lovely. If you're not into that earthiness, this is one for you.
I do have to renege something that I said. This is 14.2%. So this is a pretty big Pinot Noir. Oh well. You can get some of them that are that big. So now for the pairing. Let's see what happens when you put this stuck to my napkin. We don't want to pair it with napkin. This is actually cooling down a little bit, and it's
I get more mushroom, more time.
more of the other. You know, it's like letting wine aerate. It's like this food is aerating. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Keep talking. I'm eating.
Oh, it's like butter. Oh, the onions. I have no words.
Even the onion with the wine is like fantastic.
This is hands down of the three.
I like them all.
I like them all, but in fairness to all of you that are spending 20 minutes with us to find out about this, my recommendation to you is I don't care what the season is. Get yourself a Pinot Noir with this. And if you want to do a rosé with it, I should have done a Pinot Noir rosé, but I wanted to mix it up a little bit. But a Pinot Noir rosé will probably be your best wine. But this one, if you make this one in the middle of the cold weather or not in a hot climate time, weather time, Pinot Noir. And the Oregonian Pinot Noir, some Pinot Noirs are different depending on where you get it.
This would probably be my first, even though it is summer and it's god-awful humid and hot out there in Pennsylvania. The rosé was very, very good. This was lovely. Rosé is probably my favorite for this time of year. And we have this, like I said, it's a staple in our house. We have it all year long. So here we go. And I would say, are you ready to call it a night?
No, I'm ready to eat some more. So, on that note, we'll see you again soon. We're going to finish dinner. So until then, wait a minute. Let me fill my glass up. I think she's getting loaded. One drink, Annie.
Hardly.
No, that was your grandma. That was your mother.
That was my
That
mom.
was my mother-in-law. So, until we meet again, we'll see you next time. Cheers. Bon appetit.
And thanks for watching. This is really good.
Pretty good.
You picked a good Pinot.
We'll see you soon. Say no more.